Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're here this morning. We have a great show lined up, but first, our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin and Highway 77. Be another beautiful day. I know you enjoyed that full moon. Still a lot of brightness out there tonight. It's just a beautiful time of the year. Spring is just really kicking in full time. High today is going to get all the way up to 84, and the low is going to be 68. Water temperature is hung in there now at 75 degrees. It's been that way about 6 consecutive days, so it's sort of level off. You know, we had to jump up pretty fast, but 75 is a good steady number right here. Take a look at our river readings brought to us by Sandhill Seafood up there, right north of Bozeman School. Good restaurant there, good fresh seafood. You want to buy some there. 2.2 in Apalachicola. And Apalachicola has been dropping steady. It's not a heavy drop. It's sort of a slow drop, pretty level for the weekend, but like I say, it's below 3. I know a lot of those folks all along the river, old timers, love to fish the river when it's below 3. So it's at a 2.2 this morning. Choctaw Carabel is reading a 4.6. Again, it's steady. Both rivers are going to be nice this weekend. It's going to be beautiful on the rivers. All the tributaries going into it. It's going to be. I'm expecting a crowd of people on all the river systems this weekend. So enjoy it, and always be courteous to your fellow boatsmen. Okay, now the tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. We're looking at good steady tide today. We're looking at a high tide at 9:36 this morning and a low tide at 7:52. We've got about 1.2 range. You look at the rest of this week on the chart, it's really good, okay? And guess what? On the marine forecast, it's going to be blowing again this afternoon. Sort of been nice in the morning, but afternoon has been kicking in. Today's coming out of west-southwest at 10 to 20. So be aware of that on open water, west-southwest. All right, we'll take a break and be back with our guest. Welcome back, folks, and welcome to our special guest this morning, FWC fishery biologist Katie Woodside and Nicole Balk. Glad to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
I was just kidding them. They were saying they're having to work. I said, I didn't think biologists had to work, so I thought just go over there and play around in the water.
Well, it's definitely a pretty fun job. We do a variety of things, so it's not all fun on the boat. Sometimes we have to do data entry or Okay, all right. So, well, let's get started. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and Katie, you go first. Okay. Well, I've worked for the FWC for about 8 years now. I moved down from New York where I went to grad school. I worked up on the St. Lawrence River looking at muskie, and before that I lived in California, and my dad was in the Air Force, so I kind of moved around a bit.
Neat. Well, you got that background with Air Force traveling, well, a lot of folks can identify with that. So you've gone from California to New York to Florida.
Yes.
Great route. Okay.
I'm a recent transplant. About a year ago, I moved here from West Palm, where I was only there for about a year with the FWC, also doing the same job. And I originally came from New York. I went to school in New York and Massachusetts, and I studied the American eel in graduate school.
Oh, cool. Was that interesting?
I thought it was cool. I never knew anything about eels before I started, but I learned a whole lot about them.
Where do they come from?
They start out in the Sargasso Sea, and they kind of migrate inland to like freshwater systems, and then they just spread out. They're anywhere, even like landlocked lakes. You can find American eels in there.
They're all over the place, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's cool.
They're cool fish.
All right, now we got your background, and so you just kind of tell us, folks, what you do. Your typical week or typical day, if there is such a thing.
Okay, well, we do sample the fish populations in various lakes and river. That's mostly in the spring and the fall. That's with the boat electrofishing.
This is legal now. This is not some of y'all want to do, but it's
not the jerry-rigged one with the battery. This has different settings and a generator, and we got little poles off the front, and it puts the current between the poles and the boat, and you can change the settings so you don't kill the fish. So we usually just weigh and measure them and toss them back. And that's what we do for sampling mostly, but we also have surveys where we interview fishermen, and we are also doing a project where we're transplanting eelgrass from Merritt's Mill Pond to a lake that we used to fertilize, but we're no longer fertilizing anymore. So we want to plant vegetation that we want to grow versus getting something that we don't want to grow, like lemon bacopa or like a non-native plant like hydrilla.
So that grass in Maris Mill Pond is good, healthy grass.
Yes, sir.
That eelgrass. And so we're trying to spray the good stuff, so we'll take over the bad stuff, basically.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So before we get the bad stuff growing in Hurricane Lake, we want to try to grow this good vegetation that will be used by the bass and brim that are already in Hurricane.
Interesting. Do y'all just get like little clumps of it? Or?
Yeah. So we pick 'em just like you would think you'd pick a vegetable or something, and then we have these mats that are coconut fiber, and you push the
roots in there.
Yeah, go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, we just scoop into the muck, dig up the roots pretty good, stick them into this coconut fiber mat, and then hopefully the idea is to be able to roll up the mat carefully and then drive it over to Hurricane Lake, keeping it wet, and then put it in the lake, lay it out, staple it down again, and hope that it grows and then spreads and takes off and establishes itself. So we're just in the beginning steps of that. We've transplanted a few mats, planted some directly, and we're just seeing if they take. We'll go back this week and find out.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Now, in Hurricane Lake, tell folks where that is. What county?
So that's in northwest part of the state.
Go back to Walton County, or okay, we'll find it for you. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, let's move on now. Is that it lives pretty strong?
It's kind of near Baker.
Yeah,
It's near
in the
Baker,
northwest
Florida.
of
It's
it.
in the Blackwater National Forest
Yeah.
area.
So it lives pretty strong then. I mean, it's pretty. When you transplant it, the eelgrass is
It
strong.
seems hardy.
So far, the
hard to
first
say.
time we did it, we didn't have as much luck. We think the turtles and some grass carp got to it. So right now, we had to put up some fencing to kind of keep the turtles out, so it'll establish and it will start to grow. And once it gets thick and the roots get down into the sediment, then we can hopefully remove the fencing, and we won't have any issues.
Okay, all right. So you're working not just with the fish, but with the habitat and the whole gamut.
It's all part of it.
Yeah, it all fits together, doesn't it? A healthy lake's going to have healthy fish, right?
Yes.
Well, we've always said that. Now, when the electroshocking and all, what all comes up when you do that?
So like I said, every fish that's scaled pretty much will come up. You can change the settings to where you get more catfish that pop up, but mostly it's the scaled fish that will pop up, and you just adjust the settings based on the conductivity of the water.
That's interesting. That's interesting. And of course, you just measure them and get a count, basically.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So.
We're going to take a quick break and find out a lot more information on this. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So here we're FWC fisheries biologists, Nicole Balk and Katie Woodside. We're glad to have you all this morning. This is really interesting because this first picture we're going to show you, we used to, growing up, we said, let's go bass fishing. We didn't say let's go spotted bass fishing or Choctaw bass fishing and all, but now we've got categories of them. All right, so explain to us on the shark. Over on the far left, we're just talking about the pan. Well, no, let's go to the blue. The blue is what we call, go ahead.
The Florida largemouth bass,
Yeah.
yes, sir. So what everyone thinks is your traditional largemouth bass from Florida that gets, really big.
Okay.
And then in the Panhandle, we have hybrids of the Florida largemouth bass and northern largemouth bass. But we also have 4 other species of bass in the Panhandle of Florida.
So the green is what we call a Choctaw bass.
Yes, sir. So that's our newest described species, and that's from the Choctawhatchee River in Holmes Creek and rivers west in the Panhandle. And then we also have the shoal bass.
The yellow is the Choctaw and shoal bass. That's on the Chipola. Is that one?
Yes, sir. So we have mostly in the Chipola River from about Spring Creek that flows out of Merritt's Mill Pond down to Johnny Boy Landing. That's mostly where they occur. And one shoal, we found a few shoal bass in the Apalachicola River just below the Jim Woodruff Dam.
That's cool. All right, so that's interesting. And you said 1999. We were identifying different species as far back as then.
Yes, sir. So the shoal bass, I believe, was first described in 1999 as a unique species here in Florida. Previously, they thought it might be a red-eye bass, or they weren't really sure. So
that's cool. Okay, let's go to some of these pictures. Tell us about this one. What's that?
So that's a Choctaw bass that we collected in Holmes Creek. And you can kind of see it has rows of spots under the lateral line there, and it also has a tooth patch on the tongue. So it looks very similar to the northern spotted bass, which we find in the Apalachicola River and the lower Chipola.
Okay.
And you can see here the two dorsal fins are connected. In the largemouth bass, they'll be more separated.
Okay. All right.
And this is a shoal bass from the Chipola River.
That's a pretty bass. I mean, that color and all.
Yes,
How
sir.
big do they get?
So we've caught ones that were more than 16 inches before. So they usually get to about age 11 or age 12 in the Chipola River. So they can get as large as a largemouth, but usually you won't catch many that are more than 4 pounds.
Is that right? That's a pretty fish. All right.
And this is a Swanee bass. In the Panhandle, you can pretty much find them in the Ocklawackney River and rivers east. So mostly in the Wassissa and the St. Marks River. Those are two good places to fish for those.
Okay.
And that's just showing the tooth patch on the tongue of spotted bass and Choctaw bass. There's a small tooth patch also on the Swanee bass, but that's one way you can tell those three bass species from the largemouth bass.
Yeah.
It's kind of, feels like sandpaper, and it's
Rough like. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
And that's a spotted bass from the Apalachicola River. So as you can see, it looks pretty similar to the Choctaw bass. The best way to tell those apart right now, since we're not geneticists, is most likely where you've caught it. So if you catch it in the Appalach or the Chipola, it's probably a spotted bass, versus if you catch it in the Choctawhatchee River or west, it's probably a Choctaw bass.
Okay. Now this is the fun part. All right, tell us about this.
We're out on Deer Point Lake there. We were doing some vegetation transects with Derek Fussell and his crew. We're just trying to assess the type of vegetation, mostly lemon bacopa.
Lemon bacopa.
Trying to determine how much is there and, you know, if we've had any kind of effect on it. And we're going to go back this fall and sample it again and see if the drawdown was effective.
Now I like the boat rig right there. That's a good floundering rig too. That could go flounder gigging off that. That's really nice. When you that lemon bacopa, we've talked about that before on the show. Tell us a little bit about it. It takes over.
It can spread really quickly, yeah. Once it's established in a lake, if you don't take some kind of immediate action to kind of control it or remove it, like it can spread very rapidly.
I know when I first started doing the show, probably 10 years ago, I went up there. Stan Kirkland was at FWC, and they released some grass-eating carp. That was, and of course, their lifespan, I think they've already, and they didn't reproduce, right? I mean,
Correct.
So, how did that work, or do y'all remember? I know this before y'all got here and all, but I know there was just all kinds. In fact, I need to put out that video of those carp, just a whole truckload of them. Came in there, backed up to the High Point Landing.
Yes, sir. So the grass carp, they mostly eat, we have another non-native Eurasian milfoil that's in Deer Point, and that's what they mostly like to eat.
Okay.
They like to eat some of the fine vegetation. They don't really like to eat the lemon bacopa so much.
It has a lemon taste, right? So they don't like that.
Yeah, a lot of things don't really use it. So the drawdown is what we mostly are left with doing to try to control it in Deer Point.
Okay. Well, the drawdown, let's speak of drawdown a second. The drawdown is a great idea, but we just can't get enough cold weather, can we? Go ahead and address that.
Oh, well, this year was pretty warm winter, so that really didn't coincide with our plans, but
well, we have no control over that.
We can't control the weather.
But now, other areas that do drawdowns, say north of here and all, do those work good? I mean, it's scientifically proven that would help a lot.
It does, and a lot of times if you can get it to dry out, that helps too, but obviously you can't control if it rains, or there's rivers that flow into Deer Point, so it's hard to keep the water levels low and consistently low.
How do y'all calculate from what date to do it? That's a good question.
Well, we typically do it in the winter time. We try to not interfere with the spawning season as much as we can, and also we want to hit those colder days like you said, just if it does freeze, if we can, but we don't want it to bring it down during the growing season. So you don't really usually want to bring it down in the spring or the summer months, because then you might encourage more growth of plants. So.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Oh, this picture here, tell us about it.
So
that's a big bass here.
So that's a largemouth bass that we found in Carter Track. It's almost 10 pounds. And I kind of just put that in there to kind of show how the two fins were more separated in the largemouth bass, and obviously the mouth is a lot bigger, goes past the eye, versus it doesn't really do that in some of the other species.
We were talking about Carter Track the other day. I was recommended as a place to go, and it's catch and release on bass fishing up there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's a nice 10-pounder.
Yes, sir.
That and the color, I said, it's a pretty dark color too. Now, are they spawning up there? What's their spawning times in general in the Florida Panhandle?
In general, the bass will spawn anywhere from February and March typically. So.
Now this weekend a lot of people are going to be going to Carter Track to try to catch that. Click it and let it go. All right, we're going to take our final break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. FWC biologist Katie and Nicole, and we're having a good time here. We're trying to give you a lot of information. They know a lot now, so we're going to get back to them first. Let's do our fishing game times, brought to us by Blue Water Outrigger down in St. Joe. Looking at time today, 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. this morning, but this afternoon, 1:23 to 3:23. And don't forget on tomorrow's show, now we'll be giving away a lot of fresh seafood and some really neat stuff. Every Friday is a big giveaway on the fresh seafood, oysters and shrimp and all kind of stuff, red snapper. But let's add a name, Taylor Henderson, Panama City. You're in the jar, and tomorrow I've got a whole stack of names to add. I saw folks at the gathering Tuesday night over here at Sea Deck, and we had a great crowd and gave away a lot of neat stuff, and a lot of folks entered the contest in. So we'll take care of that tomorrow, and I'll tell you more about the gathering we had. Okay. In general, if a young person wants to follow y'all's footsteps and be fishery biologist or wildlife biologist, what do they need to do?
So science and math are, obviously, very important. And so a degree in science is highly important. And then a lot of people go on to graduate school to get their master's degree as well.
All right. All right, now, bass in general, y'all spend a lot of time with them, right? What's their favorite food?
Well, that really depends on where you're at, but obviously bass, eat a lot of fish, but they also eat crayfish.
Okay.
So.
That's interesting.
They eat frogs too.
What is it?
They eat frogs too.
Frogs? They like frogs?
Oh yeah.
When y'all do your studies and all this, all during daytime, y'all do much night stuff?
Not so much.
You really can't. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they used to do a lot more nighttime sampling back in the day, but most of our sampling's during the daytime.
All right, now the big question: what's y'all's hobbies? What do you do when you're not at work? Do you go fishing or?
Yeah, I do some fishing. I got more into deer hunting after moving down to Florida. I used to do a lot more hiking, but hiking in Florida is more exciting when you're looking for tracks or looking for something out there.
Yeah,
so.
That's cool. Tell the folks what you told me. You're what?
I'm a professional bum on the weekends or when I have a day off, because sometimes we work the weekends.
It's a lot of rest, huh?
Yeah, I like to just chill, take it easy. I'll go to the movie theaters or go out to dinner or something.
Yeah.
I like to go to the beach if the weather cooperates. So, yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so what do y'all have coming up? As far as we're in springtime now, we're sort of in a transitional period. So what's coming up?
So right now we're wrapping up our surveys. We have an angler survey. We're interviewing the people fishing on Deer Point, and that'll end in June. And then we launch into all the data entry, all the data we collected. We got to enter and analyze it and put the giant report together. And
well, that's good. Do that in summertime because it's cool off in the office instead of going out there at 100 degrees at midday.
Yes,
sir.
That's smart planning right there. Tell about these angler surveys. Are the anglers mainly cooperative with you? Or
yeah, we found people on Deer Point to be pretty friendly. So they've been very nice. So it's been great to have people that are very easy to talk to and they welcome your questions. So.
I got a good question because a lot of people have their own bass ponds in the backyard or farm ponds and all. What can they do to increase the longevity or make it healthy with these ponds and all throughout the Panhandle? What are some things?
Okay. Well, yeah, people do call and ask us a lot of questions. So, you want to make sure that, you are harvesting, some of your fish. That way you're not, stunting the growth of your fish. And if you're using, feed, you want to use a floating feed, so you're not putting extra nutrients into your pond.
Good point right there. You want it floating. Good point. That's interesting. And what about mixing up the brim and the bass and the catfish in a pond? Is that fine?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So you definitely, usually, if you have brim, you want to have bass typically in the pond as well. Like I said, so you have that predator that's kind of reducing the brim population some, so they're not ending up all about 3 inches in size.
Okay, I know a lot of people have catfish ponds sold to catfish. How do you can you add other fish to that, or?
You can. I mean, it just depends on the size.
How big your pond is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the catfish, they got their own little niche, and if you put brim in there and bass, they all got their own niches. They're probably not going to really compete too much, so just try not to overpopulate your pond in general.
They won't socialize much, in other words.
Probably not. Probably don't hang out.
Okay, and how often do you feed the fish?
It depends. Fish tend to eat a little more in the summertime versus in the wintertime. Their metabolic rate slows down a bit. So generally, like I said, if you use that floating fish feed, what they'll eat in 10-15 minutes time, that's good.
Okay.
You don't want to, you kind of watch how much they eat within that time period and see if they, you need to add more feed or less. So.
Okay, well, about around time, but structure, saltwater fish and freshwater fish love structure. Y'all found that in all these studies and all, they love structure.
Yes, they do.
That is cool. That is cool. Well, and if people want to ask you questions, they can call the office up there or email you, whatever. And
yes, sir. They can call the regional office, 850-265-3676.
That's awesome. Well, Kate and Nicole, thank y'all for coming on.
Yes,
Thank
you're
you
welcome.
for having us.
Thanks for having me.
Y'all don't have to sing any. Y'all did good.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I always tell my guests if they don't come up and start talking, they're going to have to sing. So y'all did well. Folks, always, now if you have a question, call the office out there and ask them. All kind of neat things going on with our FWC researchers, okay? Thank y'all for watching Panhandle Outdoors. Be tuning in tomorrow. Now, got a big show. Do something good for your fellow man today. Have a great day, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.